The world you know, the sphere of blue and green spinning gracefully in the cosmic void, ceases to exist. Instead, imagine not a planet, but an infinite flat plane stretching out beyond the comprehension of any map and impossibly folding into itself. Our familiar Earth, the one we inhabit and take for granted, is a product of gravity. Over billions of years, the dust and gas that formed our solar system coalesced, its immense mass pulling everything towards a central point. That gravitational pull, relentless and unwavering, is what shaped our planet into a sphere. It's why water forms oceans, why our atmosphere clings to us, and why we don't simply float off into space. The Earth's molten iron core, churning and spinning, generates a powerful magnetic field, a protective shield against the sun's deadly radiation, making life on the surface possible. This spherical shape also dictates our horizons, our days and nights as we rotate, and the very concept of global travel and interconnectedness. Without this fundamental spherical geometry, everything we understand about our world, from the way a dropped apple falls to the migration of birds, would be fundamentally rewritten.
Now, abandon that understanding entirely. In this new reality, gravity itself behaves in an utterly alien fashion. Instead of pulling towards a central core, the colossal, perhaps even infinite, mass of this flat plane exerts a gravitational force that pulls straight down, perpendicular to its surface, everywhere. Picture it. Wherever you stand on this boundless expanse, the force of down is constant, like being pressed against an infinitely vast, unyielding floor. This means there's no up or down in the cosmic sense, only away from the plane or towards the plane. If you were to jump, you wouldn't feel the subtle lateral pull towards a perceived center of the Earth. You'd simply fall back to the surface with uniform force. This uniform downward pull would have bizarre consequences. Buildings could conceivably reach impossible heights, limited only by material strength, as there would be no inherent curvature to destabilize them over vast distances. But also, any object not perfectly aligned with the downward pull would feel a constant subtle tug. Water, without a spherical well to collect it, wouldn't form oceans as we know them. Instead, it would spread, infinitely thin, across the surface, seeking the lowest points in every direction, creating vast, shallow, unmoving sheets of water, or perhaps endless, meandering rivers without defined banks, trickling away into the far reaches of the plane. The very air we breathe, our atmosphere, would also be affected. Without the encompassing embrace of a spherical gravitational field, it would continually try to spread outwards and dissipate. However, the folding into itself aspect might offer a solution. Imagine the plane is not just a single flat sheet, but an infinitely layered structure, or perhaps its very topology creates an invisible gravitational boundary that holds the atmosphere in place, like a gigantic, self-contained system. The pressure at the bottom layer would be immense, gradually thinning out as you ascend, but never truly escaping the vast, flat gravitational influence. Geologically, this world would be utterly unrecognizable. There would be no molten core, no churning mantle, and thus no plate tectonics. The grand dance of continental drift, the slow, grinding collision and separation that forms our mountains, trenches, and volcanoes would simply not occur. So how would any geological features, any elevation, exist? This is where the folding into itself comes into play with profound impact. Imagine the entire infinite plane itself undergoing immense, impossibly slow tectonic-like folding. These wouldn't be the graceful geological folds we see on Earth, but monumental, perhaps even cosmic, contortions of the very fabric of the plane. These colossal folds would create mountains of unimaginable scale, vast ridges that stretch for millions of kilometers, rising perhaps to heights that pierce the upper atmosphere. Between these titanic peaks would be equally gargantuan valleys, some plunging into abyssal depths, potentially even connecting to other layers of the folded plain beneath. The sheer scale of these features would dwarf Everest, making our planet's highest peaks seem like mere pebbles. Volcanoes, if they existed, would not be driven by convection currents in a mantle, but perhaps by immense pressure buildups within these folds, or by localized tears in the plain structure, spewing material from unimaginable depths. The entire landscape would be a testament to this ongoing, titanic folding, a world of ceaseless, slow-motion geological reshaping. Without a spinning molten core, there would also be no global magnetic field. This is a catastrophic issue for life. The constant bombardment of solar radiation, cosmic rays, and charged particles would scour the surface, making it incredibly hostile. Any life forms, including humans, would require extraordinary biological adaptations or advanced technological shielding to survive. This radiation would also relentlessly erode the atmosphere over vast timescales, unless the folding somehow created magnetic anomalies or protective energetic fields. The celestial mechanics of such a world would be equally baffling. How would a sun, moon, and stars orbit an infinite flat plane? The most common theoretical models for a flat Earth often propose a localized sun, like an immense spotlight circling above the plane. This sun would cast a moving circle of light, creating day and night as it traversed the sky. Imagine the sun as a cosmic lantern constantly sweeping across the boundless expanse, its light dimming and brightening as it approached or receded from your position. The moon and stars would likely behave similarly, perhaps also circling above the plane, their light diminishing into the infinite distance. The concept of a horizon would be profoundly different. Instead of a curving line that drops away, the horizon might simply be the point where the atmosphere becomes too thick or the distance too great for your eyes to resolve, or where the folds in the plane obscure the view. Distant objects might appear warped, stretched, or even duplicated due to the immense gravitational lensing caused by the plane's infinite mass or the complex curvature of space around its folds. Climate and weather patterns would also be alien. Without a spherical shape and the Coriolis effect, global wind patterns would not exist as we know them. Instead, winds might simply blow in straight lines, driven by local temperature differences. Imagine enormous thermal updrafts where the sun beats down relentlessly, creating localized, intense weather systems, then dissipating into stagnant, cold air once the sunspot has passed. There would be no distinct climate zones, like equatorial, temperate, or polar. Instead, the climate would be dictated entirely by the sun's current position and the specific topography of the folds. Regions perpetually in shadow would be locked in eternal cold, while areas under the sun's direct path would bake. The folding itself could create unique microclimates, with deep valleys trapping cold air and high peaks exposed to extreme winds and radiation. Water evaporation would be vast under the localized sun, leading to immense, perhaps continent-sized cloud formations, and rainfall that could inundate entire regions, flowing outward across the flat expanse. Navigation and exploration on this infinite folding plane would be a monumental, perhaps impossible undertaking. Without a consistent celestial navigation system based on a spherical model and without a reliable magnetic field, pioneers would have no clear direction. Maps would be unfathomably large, constantly expanding and prone to becoming obsolete as the plane itself slowly folded and shifted. The very concept of traveling around the world would be meaningless. You could travel indefinitely in any direction, never encountering a true edge or returning to your starting point in the traditional sense. However, the folding into itself provides the most intriguing and mind-bending twist. Perhaps traversing the plane extensively might lead to repeating landscapes. Imagine hiking for months only to find yourself encountering a mountain range or a river that is eerily similar to one you passed long ago. not because you've circled back, but because the plane's internal geometry creates a self-referential or fractal geography. Or perhaps these folds could be so immense that they create layers of reality. You might, through some unimaginable journey, pass through a fold and find yourself on a parallel section of the infinite plane, a different sheet of this cosmic paper with its own unique ecosystem and societies. The ultimate edge might not be a physical drop-off, but a topological boundary, a point where space itself warps, loops, or transitions into another layer, making true ending to the world an impossible concept. Exploration would not just be about discovering new lands, but about understanding the very rules of this impossibly complex self-referential geometry. Life would have to adapt profoundly. Organisms would need extraordinary resistance to radiation or find ways to shelter in the deepest valleys or subterranean folds. Plants might evolve incredibly extensive root systems to anchor themselves against the constant downward pull and to seek out thinly spread moisture. Animals might develop flattened body plans or specialized limbs for traversing vast featureless plains or for navigating the immense cliff-like folds. Humans, if they arose or survived, would likely live in vast, sprawling settlements, perhaps burrowing deep into the plain to escape radiation and temperature extremes. Their cities would be immense horizontal sprawls, potentially stretching for hundreds of kilometers, or built vertically into the titanic folds. Concepts of nation-states might still exist, but without natural global boundaries, they would be defined by cultural proximity and the sheer impossibility of communicating across truly infinite distances. Technology would be radically different, focused on radiation shielding, atmospheric containment, and developing new methods of navigation for a world without poles or a global coordinate system. The very philosophy of existence would shift. Without a finite world, perhaps the human drive for exploration would become an endless, unfulfillable quest. Ultimately, a world that is an infinite flat plane folding into itself is not just a geological oddity, it is a complete redefinition of reality. Gravity, time, space, life itself, all are warped into something utterly alien. It's a universe where the familiar comforts of a spherical home are replaced by a boundless, endlessly complex, and existentially challenging expanse. It's a reminder that our understanding of the cosmos is profoundly tied to the fundamental shapes and forces that govern our own familiar corner of it.